Hello everyone. Today going to do something that I generally don't do. I've only done this once before, a year ago when I was opening up a sealed, unreleased US VHD. But I figured I have all these PAL CEDs that are sealed, that I've just gathered in my time that I've been collecting PAL discs. And I figured, well, being America, these are more special. Uh, I have about probably just shy of 10 of these to open. A bunch of these aren't anything particularly special, but some of these are PAL exclusives, which is going to be fun to take a look at. I figured, well, what if I just do this for the sake of preserving, opening up sealed PAL discs? I still don't know whether or not I'm going to even be uploading this. Uh, that's it. This is just going to be more laid back. You'll get a chance to hear about me talking about movies and things like that, which I don't get a chance to do on YouTube. I figure it'd be a nice little change of pace. So, and yes, my neighbors are doing yard work today. It is a nice day in April of 2023. So they're using today before the thunderstorms to get their yard work done. But in any event, here, first one we have the PAL disc of the African Queen. Now, when I mentioned before how, and there's Van Gogh in the reflection of the cellophane. Now, how I mentioned that some of a bunch of the PAL discs aren't anything that special. Well, that's just because they're really, a bunch of them are just the same, movie, same cover design as they were in the US. This one here, the African Queen, being no different. It's the same cover, except you can see it has the Columbia Pictures Video UK logo there. All PAL discs have the PAL UK stamp there, and they all say CED video disc, like RCA Columbia discs in the US did. So there's a picture of the back. It has those same descriptions as the US disc, and this is one I haven't seen before, so figure that I'll use this PAL disc to be my first time watch for this guy. I haven't seen that many Humphrey Bogart movies, believe it or not. So this would be more another introduction for me. Another chance for me to experience more Bogart. Up next, we have Earth, Wind, and Fire in Concert. This is another title which also came out in the US, and this is also my only Vestron PAL disc so far. So that's what it looks like. Same thing. Back is going to look the same as the US disc. These all have the UK ratings, so that explains these shapes here. That means universal, so that's basically their G for general, their equivalent of it. Now, something I noticed because I have the US disc of this, I can't remember if I said that or not, and I've watched it. Something that's interesting on the US disc is that the Vestron, because the whole disc, of course, is in stereo, the Vestron intro, only when you play through Pro Logic, which I do with all my 2-channel stuff, the Vestron music, intro music, only comes out of the left channel. Oops, and I haven't noticed that yet on any of my other stereo Vestron titles, so point of interest for me is to see if the Vestron intro on this disc has the same thing going on, where you only get the intro music out of the left channel. Alright, here we have a PAL exclusive. This is a, what is this, Fairy Tales? It's a compilation of Beauty and the Beast, Little Magic Girl, Mermaid Princess, The Magic Well, and Thumbelina. The PAL exclusives all have just tremendous artwork. Let me get that in the center there, and then I'll do stuff in post. Give you a sense of just the great just dedication to the caddy art. A lot of people just collect CEDs for the artwork, which I don't necessarily agree with. Obviously, I collect these to watch them. But with these PAL discs, the exclusive ones, I can vaguely understand that. And it'll be interesting for me, a 24-year-old, be sitting down watching these cartoons meant for, what is it, do they say? On some of the Playbox discs, they say, like, oh, it's, you know, like Captain Pugwash is like, oh, buccaneering fun for ages 2 through 7 or something like that. But yeah, this will be interesting to watch. Up next, another one that's also in the US catalog, Forbidden Planet, with a young Leslie Nielsen, which is odd for me since I know him from his post-Airplane era filmography. But here he's actually in a serious role in one of the best-known sci-fi movies. Again, this one is also Universal, general audience, whatever the heck you want to call it. Now, oh yeah, look at that. Now, my US copy of this came from the same eBay lot that I actually got my Blue Caddy NFL arcade disc from. And fortunately, all the discs in that lot were super, super minty. We probably barely got played at all, so lucky for me. And now my PAL disc was sealed, so obviously no one's played that before. And now I have this on, I believe, every video disc format, because I have the VHD, which is, interestingly enough, the VHD is in stereo, and as well as the Japanese Laserdisc, which is also in stereo. And I said I have the US disc and now the PAL disc, so I have it at least on each video disc format. I don't own the US Laserdisc of this, but maybe I can change that. Alright, up next we've got On the Town, the MGM release. Now, in the US, this was one of a couple discs that had, well, movies, sorry, that had 2 releases. One through the Selectavision video disc label, and one through the MGM. So this one would just be basically a carbon copy of the US disc, but in PAL. Again, another Universal General Minutes film, and another one that I have not seen before. So even though I have the RCA, what is that? Oh, that's the price. £10. 10 Great British Pounds. Not a bad price. So, anyway, as I was saying before, so even though I have the RCA Selectavision first gen disc, I don't have the US MGM disc yet. I'm actually going to have to be biased and go with the PAL disc for my first time viewing of this one. I also have Bandwagon. That was a PAL exclusive, and that's another musical that has Fred Astaire, who I don't think is in this one, but that has him in it. So that one I will probably have to watch back to back, maybe. Who knows? I don't have Sing in the Rain in PAL. I just have the first gen US disc of that. Another one that I have yet to see. Okay, up next we got Public Enemy. This one, another one that came out in the US. I believe it's also my first and only so far black and white movie on the PAL label. I can't think of what else I had that's in black and white. And yeah, it's a cool little cover caddy artwork here, same as the US, where the front is in black, has a black background, and then it's nicely countered with the all red of the back label. Now this one is in general audience. This one is PG. We'll focus. I can never tell with this camera. Like I've said in the past, recording is not my forte. Obviously, this channel is for primarily archiving, So I'm just using this camera that I've had since I was a kid just to get by. And another one I have not seen before, so naturally I'll have to make the PAL disc my first time viewing. Is there a good... Here, the corner here, I can kind of do it on the corner. There we are. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, we're starting to get to the wire here. Here is another PAL exclusive cartoon, Robin Hood. VCL cartoon. They had a number of those on PAL. In a minute I'm going to open up another one from them. But this one here is Robin Hood. It's not difficult to find from what I understand. A bunch of these discs, because how I got into PAL, Josh Gibson was selling off his PAL collection, and I ended up buying it like, well, let's invest in PAL. And he had a bunch. Obviously his goal was to get a bunch of PAL exclusives, the cover variants, all that jazz, and this is one that he got. Some of the other ones you found were from John Greavy, who was just letting go of some of his unwanted PAL titles. So that's some of the history behind what you're seeing before you. None of these I personally imported, so I was lucky to dodge that bullet. But yeah, that's the story with some of those. Alright, the other VCL cartoon disc I have here to unwrap is Robinson Crusoe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I never watched any of the stories back then on this one. But this is just another VCL title, cartoon. Maybe I should let you take a look at the artwork on this one, just to, because I don't know how common this one is. I don't think it's all too common, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's what the back looks like. The VCL cartoons have the movie title, the cartoon carousel logo, the barcode, with the PAL prefix that all the PAL discs have. Running time 44 minutes, one side only, so this one's definitely going to have the PAL dead side, because it seems like all the PAL exclusives have that. And there's a little description there. Oh no, that's kind of the tagline. Here's the description of the tale of the cartoon. So, yeah. Nice little colorful artwork there on the caddy. And the last one we have to unwrap is Warship Down. Now this is one of those where, even though it came out in the US it was only in mono, but in PAL land it's in stereo. As you can see by the blue for the caddy, the CX encoded video disc emblem that they use on all the stereo discs, and yeah, it says stereo on the front there. So this one is really unique for that, and it's also a movie I have not seen before. I've heard that this movie gets a little disturbing, so that'll be interesting to watch, but of course in typical 80s, 70s fashion, no matter how disturbing it is, you're going to get rated general admittance. Because, yeah, we're the 80s here. Come on. Grow a pair, kids. Reminds me of the tale, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Was able to dodge the R rating. I believe the one change they had to make at the end where, you know, all the guys' heads are exploding. The one guy whose head explodes, they had to cover it with like with a fireball, and they were to get away with a PG rating. Just man, that's just so hilarious to think about nowadays. I don't think I have to go much further to explain that. Alright, that's all the PAL discs I have to unwrap. Well, naturally I couldn't just let the video end without testing at least one of the newly unwrapped discs. So let's try that Earth, Wind, and Fire in concert disc that I opened up. I got my PAL player all hooked up here. I'm curious to see what the Vestron logo is going to look like. Oh, there is no logo. Okay. So this one just goes right into the concert. Oh, that's interesting. Some of these PAL discs don't have intros, so that's interesting to see that the Vestron didn't even bother with the intro. But yeah, there it is. And it's about to get loud here, so I didn't turn my stereo down. And so let me just get the disc out. And from inspecting the disc, because of course even if a disc is sealed, you still want to inspect it to make sure that it didn't crack or anything. This looks to be a one whole side, whereas the US disc, if I'm not mistaken, the US title is on both sides. It was one of those hour-long programs that Vestron interestingly decided to split across both sides, even though content only runs an hour. So I'm going to play side 2 and see if it does have the PAL UK dead side. And it does. Look at that. Interesting. Paul Simon in concert did a UK disc, also from John Greavy. It is basically the same thing. The stereo version of the US release runs across both sides, whereas the PAL disc, it's in stereo, but it only runs on one side, and the side 2 is the dead side. So that's interesting to see. Some of these PAL discs, it's kind of a gamble if they have an intro or not. So that makes some of them kind of anticlimactic when you just start the disc and it's just the movie, no intros or anything. Thank you guys for sticking to the end, and I will see you later. There's more to come on the channel. I am now at a point where I have a bunch of stuff to archive and share to everyone, so look forward to that.